Guess I gotta re-record. For some reason, my audio in the last attempt decided to cut out 6 minutes in. So anyway, as it was, you should never underestimate a Paragon character. They don't exist for you to take lightly. Their presence in the series is, hey, I've mastered these things through either talent or, experience, like effort. Regardless of what it is, their character is present just to say how powerful they are. That's their entire existence. They are a paragon at their craft. And within Jujutsu Kaisen, you have Satoru Gojo. And I gotta say, when we got into the flashback arc, I thought it was more gonna be like, oh yeah, that everybody else is, doing their promotion exams, and this is gonna be like Satoru going through his. I think it was much more, obviously, than just that, or, setup of how Geto became where he was, but moreover as showing Satoru part of what made him like where he is today, because we saw one, he didn't have full grasp on his techniques. Like, he would try and use techniques and they weren't fully developed and they just wouldn't go off, as well as his overconfidence in his abilities, once exploited, really just ended up being his absolute, borderline demise, rather, because that was the whole thing that Papagoro was able to do, because he knew that Satoru would, very heavily focus on, his extra sensing with his six eyes, his very powerful barrier with his infinity and then whatnot. And once gotten past that, really, it was easy for him, because he was a hunter against, someone who was just too overconfident and didn't expect any of these areas that he didn't really have a grasp on or didn't have perfected to really break through. I mean, that was I think part of the point of those lesser guys that they kept running into. There's just kind of like much weaker bounty hunters. And then, we saw, also his physical strength and combat skills, his martial arts skills weren't really up to par once Papagoro got in there. It wasn't even once he got in close and he was able to use his spear to silence him so he couldn't use any of his powers and neutralized anything that was already active. It was easy from that point, because you took away what Satoru was really going off of, his cursed energy and techniques, and it just became down to a fight of physical prowess. And not only was, Papagoro pretty much superhuman in terms of just his physical body strength, but he is also very clearly good at, close quarters combat and martial arts abilities. Now, it's because of those things that you really can get the state that we're in right now in the manga and this whole chapter and this present, because instead of it just being, Satoru flexing on people, you're really seeing kind of the fruits of where he reflected off of those events, his whole battle with Papagoro, and where he's advanced from then. Because as I said, and you go back and look and you see all the areas that he was very lacking in, he worked on, and in this chapter it really shows. It was unfortunate for all these guys. They thought they had him, they thought they had Satoru beats, but I think Geto is aware that this was going to happen. He knew that Jogo and Hanami were really just kind of end up being a distraction more than anything, a time waster for Satoru. I don't think he thought for a second that they were really going to defeat him. He just, hey, I need you guys to, pretty much run CC and keep him busy until, you get stuff ready, because he's got his whole prison room, ability, whatever it is, technique or cursed item that he name dropped previously. So, Satoru getting sealed up soon. And I have seen people really discuss he needs to get sealed up for the story to progress, which is true, because all the schemes that the cursed group have, they're not we need to, break into this and this and this in order to, get the next step to Sukuna. It's more of what we can do in order to take down Satoru Gojo, so we can get to that point where we can really move forward with the whole Sukuna revival plan, because they want to usher in the age of curses, but the largest aspect of that, both in a threat against Sukuna, but also a complete and total just behemoth of a wall that's preventing them from even getting the possibility of advancing their plans forward. So Satoru needs to get taken out, because we know Satoru is not only very powerful, but because of, has seen some events that really pushed him even further beyond what he's capable of to this absolute pinnacle of Jujutsu shamanism that he is now. Like, he is the absolute behemoth. And it was only because of some of his, his defeat against Papagoro that really put him in that spot where he advanced so much of his status in order to become as powerful as he is. Now, Hanami and Jogo, I don't think they were really expecting it to go this viciously, because Satoru, I think, is aware that with all the people, present, there's going to be casualties. Because the last chapter, it wasn't Jogo, Hanami, and Choso being like, oh, let's just start killing people, left and right and freak them out. It was, let's attack him, and, people are gonna die in the crossfire, casually just running through and murdering civilians. And Satoru knows that defensively, if he just plays defensively, they're just gonna keep killing people while they try and, get to him. So really, it's just slaughter them as much as possible, and anybody who dies, unfortunately, in that attempt is gonna, be an inevitable death, because otherwise it's like, well, some people have to die or everybody's gonna die. And even one person saved is still one person more than what could have been saved if he just kind of, let these guys attack at will and just start slaughtering people en masse. So as it were, once they come in, he ends up actually turning off his infinity, because Jogo is completely just astonished that he was able to touch Satoru, and he seems a little bit rattled that he just walked up to him. He goes to get a hit in. He's like, did I actually touch him? Because he knows that his infinity technique, but Satoru planned on that. He turned it off in order to just go into physical strength. He's amplifying his physical body so he can just be a martial arts dude right now. And he not only gets Chogo in an arm lock, but he straight snaps the arm at the elbow off. Doesn't just break it, doesn't dislocate it, straight breaks the arm off. And we know that, a missing limb isn't lethal to a cursed spirit. He can heal from that and come back, but it's, I imagine, still extremely painful. I mean, you can see the look right on Jogo's face. But it wasn't good for them. They're in some shit. They're in an unfortunate status of having I would say just Satoru on the hunt. He's just exterminating them at this point. And he goes to, dodges over some of Hanami's attacks, goes back to go for Jogo, and Hanami is like, oh, he must have said these things to throw me off my game. He's not going for me. He just wanted to get into my head and mess with me. So, what I need to do now is, use some of my cursed techniques in order to attack him. But Satoru only turned and went back to Jogo with a plan for that, because once Hanami started to use his cursed techniques, his territorial amplification. I don't like using the domain amplification because it's really awkward in the layout of it, because the translator first did area expansion and then switched to domain expansion and then translated some of the older chapters that weren't on their website. So now it's domain expansion, area expansion, domain expansion again. I'm gonna go with territorial expansion. I don't care. And he goes for the attack. He gets this is one of his wood attacks set up, and that's exactly what Satoru wanted. He wanted him to activate that, so he take his amplification off, and then he just at that moment turns, goes right at him, jumps on him, grabs him by the tree stump eye things, and, well, more like tree root eyeball things, and then just rips him out brutally. This had to have been absurdly painful for my poor big tree boy, and I was upset. If you've never listened to any of my Jujutsu Kaisen reviews before, you would likely, well, no, you wouldn't know. I messed up that whole saying right there. But I am a fan of Hanami. He's one of my favorite characters in this series. And it doesn't look like things are going for him. There's a possibility that he's still, maybe alive. Maybe he had a little seedling get out before the final brutality on him really occurred. But I doubt it. And Satoru just keeps switching back and forth between, using his curse techniques like his infinity and off in order to mess with them. He doesn't even really mind Choso when Choso attacks him, because he's, he knows that he's not a cursed spirit. He knows he's one of the cursed wombs, because they pretty much take over a body, so they have a flesh body instead of just being semi-physical like spirit. And after that point, Satoru just crushes up Hanami against the wall and just flattens him. And Jogo's like trying to get his attention, be like, hey, look over here, trying to distract him in order to help Hanami. Not gonna happen. Because again, if Satoru was like, oh, I'll stop, and then, you know, try and go block for the civilians, that's only gonna lead up to probably more dead people. Hanami getting out of it and then missing that opportunity. But Hanami is just straight splattered on that wall and just turned into a paste. And now you have him just like look back at Jogo and being like, you know, hey, you're next on this list. Let's fucking go. He's ready for some more brutality. I mean, the dude is just savage. Like, he's legitimately just one of the more brutal guys in Shonen Jump right now. Personally, I think out of the current ongoing series, he might be the most kind of like raw Chad dude there is right now. It's honestly between like him and Makima from Chainsaw Man. Like, they're both so vicious. God damn. Anyway, so now it's gonna peer away from him, and again, I think it's good. I'm guessing, and I think a lot of people are guessing that the chapter where he gets sealed will probably be around chapter 100, and here we're, you know, gonna peer away from a bit because it's getting back to Yuji, and you see Mei, and they're talking about the whole like layout of the area. You have the overall like large curtain that's covering up there, preventing the civilians from leaving, and then you have the inner one where, you know, Satoru and them are fighting, where you can't have other Jujutsu sorcerers or shamans. I don't know why I keep switching between the two, but yeah, you can't have more of them enter, and in between them in that ring, you have all of these, you know, mutated people, and here's Yuji knowing that means Mahito, and he just has that raw rage, that almost just unhinged rage, ready to go out, ready to unleash, and ready to take care of the dude. And Yuji's rage just feels always so primal because he's usually so calm and collected, you know, very down-to-earth kind of guy, and then the second that rage, you know, meter gets overtaken, he just becomes this direct, like, laser-pointed amount of, like, barbarian anger. It's not like, you know, honed, focused to the point of it almost being robotic. Him is just, as he slowly, like, loses himself to just wanting to destroy, you know, his target, in this case being Mahito. So other than that, I would like to mention, excited for the anime. We're going to get more information on the Jujutsu Kaisen anime next month at Jump Festa, which is going to be really fun, you know, hoping for a good studio. I heard Bones, you know, the rumors are Bones, which, you know, will be really solid, and I hope they do a good job if so. Other than that, comment below, tell me your thoughts are on the chapter and what's going on here. What do you rather see next chapter? Would you like to stick with Satoru, or would you like to pan over to Yuji more? I think it'd be cool, you know, get over some of the other characters and, you know, see how they're doing in a couple chapters of just their battles and their setup, and then get back to Satoru. I don't think Geto at any point thought that they were going to be a match for him. I think he's just like, in the back of his head, he's just like, all I need him to do is stall until I can get this off, and then, you know, we'll seal the guy up. But anyway, comment below, thumbs up the video, but friend the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But other than that, I appreciate everyone's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.